What's good? We back with the boxing clinic and more, and this is the and more part, incorporating more sports content and look for more social activist type videos and current event videos as well. I'm gonna incorporate them. I'm just easing all this in time by time, but for my boxing hits, I'm most definitely always a boxing guy first on this channel. But we just incorporating different content and trying to bring a different fan base in. That's all it is. And I like talking football, basketball, and current events for the most part. Used to talk way more current events when I go live on Facebook, and people really enjoyed it and asked me to keep doing it. So, if you're wondering why. But, from the FS1 show, first, whatever you want to call it, with Nick Wright and Cris Carter, which is Nick Wright is one of the worst, sports personalities that you could find. I don't know where they found him from. He's the ultimate LeBron Dick Rider. I cannot stand Nick Wright, and I refuse to watch this show, but they actually had a good segment that came across my news feed on Facebook, and I might give it a chance, man. I might give it a chance. It seems like a decent show, and don't knock it till you try it, and I gotta try it, man. After watching the segment, Cris Carter said, and I love Cris Carter. Sometimes he says some things that, people are like, oh, you coon, or just like that, but Cris Carter, straight shooter. He been from the depths of, hell and back and revitalized his career. If you don't know his story, I might get into it at the end of this video. But, he used to play for the Eagles, got kicked off for a cocaine habit, revitalized his career in Minnesota, and then ended his career in Miami, I believe. And he said that Dak Prescott, which you guys probably know him as Dak Prescott, the star quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, said you guys are crazy if you think Prescott would be a great quarterback in any system or any team. And he says, basically, if he was forced to play the slide or forced to play out of position, he would not succeeded in the NFL. He said he was a system player, and he says a lot of system players in the NFL. He said he sees Heisman Trophy winners and all these other guys that accolades coming into college and get put in the wrong system, and they don't succeed. And that's right. You got to have the right coaches around you, the right system around you for you to succeed. It's very few players that would have succeeded, in a lot of different sports, especially in football, the ultimate team sport, that would not have succeeded if they wasn't in the right system. There's some players that, like I said, some small percentage that would have succeeded wherever they was at. And you look at just different players. Peyton Manning is the guy that probably would succeed as long as he had offensive control. Tom Brady is the guy that people say that's a system quarterback. If he wasn't in the system in the beginning, would he be as popular or as great as he is now? Joe Montana in the West Coast system. Terrell Davis running in Mike Shanahan's running system. You had Gary Anderson that did good in that system. You had Clinton Portis that made a name and got a lot of money just based off that system. Wes Welker, if he wasn't, featured in a slot. Julian Edelman wasn't featured in a slot. Would they still be great players? Absolutely not. Most of them. And he has a point. Would Prescott be great anywhere? Absolutely not. And, like Matthew Stafford, I tell people, they I get all this money. At the end of the day, he's with one of the worst organizations in the sport in the history of sports, and that's the Detroit Lions because of the Fords. And for him to still be relevant, where a place that a lot of quarterbacks have went and died, and a lot of players have went and died, and still be relevant and still be pushing. If he was anywhere else in like Kansas City or Denver, this dude would be a Super Bowl champion, probably be an MVP. So he's overcoming the odds, and they're not putting the players around him for him to succeed. And if Dak Prescott, and I said that to say this, if Dak Prescott wasn't in the right system with Dallas, if he didn't have Zeke, if he didn't have an offensive line to start him off with, maybe he wouldn't have been so great. Maybe he wouldn't have started off the rip. Maybe he wouldn't have been that good if he didn't have the right coaches and the right system around him. And that's a 100% true fact statement by Cris Carter. He said he's seen plenty of guys come to the league and not live up to the expectations because they wasn't put in the right system. You look at a guy like Peter Warwick, one of the greatest college receivers of all time, busted in the NFL because he wasn't probably in the right system. He wasn't utilized right. And a lot of NFL teams are not going to scrap what they do to make sure a player fits. You see a lot of great quarterbacks come in, and a lot of coaches won't fix their system or won't tweak their system for the quarterback. A guy they put sometimes 30, 40, 50 million before they had the cap on him. And they won't do it. They won't change. Jeff Fisher wouldn't change for Jared Goff what he did. And now look at Jared Goff. Now he's in a system that's good for him. So if Prescott was in a shitty city, or a shitty team like Cleveland, you think he'd still be Dak Prescott? He'd be an ordinary guy. That's why some guys come in there and you be like, oh, he's a can't miss prospect, and he goes somewhere like Cleveland, and it's no veteran leadership. There's no team around him, and he gets gunshot. He gets beat up early. He's not the same guy. That's because he's been hit so much. He's been put in messed up situations. He's been harassed by the media. Why is the team so good? It's nothing around him to be good. So 85-90% of NFL players are system players. You see players that go from one team to another team, like Nnamdi Asomugha. And he was the truth in Oakland with the Raiders. He went to the Eagles. He couldn't guard anybody because that system worked for him. And that's why you got to know who you putting your money into in free agent, and as a player, where you want to go, and does the system fit? Most players only see the green dollar sign. Don't let them fool you. Oh, I like the way the city, I like the coaches. No, they see the dollar sign. And you go to a team where the quarterback can't throw it downfield, and you a deep threat. Then you don't get lost in the shuffle. They're gonna start saying you a bust. So you definitely got to be in the right system. You definitely got to be in the right place in the right time. You definitely, got to, be somewhere that they surround you with. And one of the reasons why John Elway didn't want to go to the Indianapolis Colts. So Cris Carter is dead on here and can't knock the Hall of Famer. We gone.